serve an awesome God, a mighty God, a powerful God, a wonderful God, an amazing God. He's so good. He's so good. He is so good all the time. He's good all the time. I praise his holy name. He's been good to me. I praise him. I love him. Today, really kind of like Regina's song a little bit, but the title today is God Said It's Yours, Go and Get It. God said it's yours, go and get it. And we're going to be looking in the book of Joshua. We're going to be in there a lot, but we're going to start in the book of Numbers. I wanted to talk a little about this today because when you look at Joshua, Joshua was given something that was really first given to Moses. It was given to him, but he didn't carry it all the way through. And then when Moses died, it was handed over to Joshua. And God always said from the very beginning, it's yours. Like his word is ours. He's given it to us, for us. And whether or not we accomplish all that's in it, it's us. Because the word is still the word. The power is still in the word. Amen. Everything that he said is still so. Everything, like everything, no matter how far it seems that there's no way that can apply to me, it does apply to you. Because the word is for all of us. And I think because it's so powerful and so mighty and so awesome, at times we feel, but it can't apply to me. Or not all of it. Maybe a little bit of it. But I can't grasp hold of all of it because it doesn't make sense to you. But it's God that we're talking about. This is who we're talking about. You know, the creator of everything. So whatever he's given us or told us was ours, it's ours. Whether or not we take it, it's on us. And I wanted to dwell in the book of Joshua a little bit. You know, most of the scriptures will be in the book of Joshua was because God gave them the promised land. He said, this is what I'm giving you. And he gave it to Moses, and none of them made it in, but Joshua, Caleb, and the ones that were young, that grew up. But no one else made it in. But yet, it was given to all of it. It wasn't given to just Moses or just this person or the leader of this, or it was given to all of them. But yet, hardly none of them made it in. But maybe what? The younger ones and, you know, of the adults was Caleb and Joshua. Moses didn't even make it in. But yet it was given to them. And the word is given to all of us. But how many of us truly walk in all the blessings of everything he told was ours? Yes. How many of us can say, I'm doing all of it. Yeah. I've taken all of it. I accepted all of it. It's mine. This is what I'm doing. How many of us speak things into existence? Come on. How many of us do just what God tells us we can? He's given it to us. But a lot of times we can't believe for it. But the word is given to all of us. And that's why, you know, just skipping over real quick to the end of Revelations, or, you know, skipping to what he says, you know, when he says the path that is narrow is only going to be a little bit that's on there. Amen. But the ones to hell is going to be wide. Yes. That's a scary statement, but still in all it's true. Amen. Still in all it's true, because we can't accept everything that he says. We believe we can do what we want, when we want, and we're going to be okay. Or I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, it's okay. Yeah. Show up every Sunday, I'm good. You know, say my prayers at night, say them in the morning, I'm good. So much more to it than that. There's so much more to it than that. And because we don't take the time out to understand it, or we do understand it, but think that his grace and mercy will cover us enough to get us into heaven, we're good. When he gives us things that we have to do. And the main thing is just believing in what he says. Just believing in what he says. So we're going to go a little bit about Joshua because they were given the promised land. We are given heaven. He already says, I went and prepared a mansion for you. I'm already up there making it quite nice for you. Already doing it. Whether or not you get into it, it's your choice. But I've given it to you. Whether or not you take it, it's your choice. It's your choice. So let's go, let's start in Numbers. I'm just going to be skimming through it. I'll give you some scriptures. I'm going to be skimming through a lot of them. Again, I say it. You need to read it for yourself. I only give you little bits and pieces, but there's a whole lot in between that I don't give you. That's powerful. That means something, because God didn't just write stuff to write stuff. Everything means something, or he wouldn't have wrote it. Everything. So take time and hear exactly what he's saying. It. Read it for yourself. Anyways, we're going to go start in the book of Numbers, chapter 13:1. Just kind of showing you a little bit about Joshua's story. And the Lord, Numbers chapter 13:1. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving the children of Israel. Now this is going back before Joshua. This is the first thing he said when he was giving them the promised land. He tells Moses, get some spies, go look at what I'm giving you. Go look at what I'm giving you. And he gathers 12 spies. And they go there. And we're going to just skip down a little bit. In Numbers chapter 13, verse 33, it says, there we saw the giants, the descendants of Anak, came from the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we were also like grasshoppers in theirs. So he tells them from the very beginning, go send some spies to see what I'm giving you. That's all he says, go see, go so they can take a look. He didn't need their help of accomplishing it. He already gave it to them. Go look. Go see what's there. A lot of times he gives us stuff or tells us stuff, and then we have to analyze it. And when we come up with our own thought, we just can't do it because we don't have enough, don't know the right people, not qualified enough, not worthy enough, too old, too broke, too whatever. We can't do it. But God knew what he was giving you when he gave it to you. He knew that. He knows who you are. He knows everything about you. And if he didn't think you were qualified for it, he wouldn't have told you to do it in the first place. But he knew that you wouldn't be doing it anyways. It would be him. And that's why he always says, keep your eyes on me. He never expects you to do it. He always expects him to do it. He just tells us some things. But we a lot of times have to do stuff in the midst of it. You can't just sit there and have it thrown in your lap, although he can do that. And he's done it before. There's a whole lot of times he just gave me stuff. There's times he just pushed me into stuff that I didn't want. He's like, you're having it, you're getting it. But that's him if he wants to do that. That's him, like Lot when he told him to leave. Had to push him out. Wanted to protect him, wanted to save him. He phoned around. He had to push him out. So there's times he can just take you there. But there's sometimes you got to step and go towards what he's given you. In this case, he tells them, you know, to go look at it. But when they go look at it, they're petrified. They're scared because it's way too much for them. They see the blessing. They see the promise. They see everything that he said was theirs. But they're scared to go get it because there's giants there. And they were giants. They were truly giants. Whenever God gives you something, there's always going to be an adversary there that's going to throw something your way so you don't go for it. It's going to be something to put doubt in your mind, to make you afraid. That's why he says fear is not of him. Because fear is usually the major thing will stop you from getting what God has given you because you're scared to go get it. Either you think you're not qualified or you're afraid somebody's going to laugh at you. They're going to talk about you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stand up and say this. I'm not going to sing this song. I'm not going to put myself out here because they may not approve of me or they may laugh. Who cares? They're not doing it for you. They're not even the one that's giving it to you. God has given it to you. But yet we let people dictate what we will and will not do when in the end it's still your life. When it's all said and done, no matter what people say about your life, it's your life. You know, they can't make you happy. They can't feel what's going on inside of you. They can't get you into heaven and they can't get you into hell. But yet we allow them to dictate what we will and will not do from what their opinion is, how they look at you, whether or not they're going to talk about you, whether or not they're going to laugh, whether or not they're going to prove it, whether or not they don't believe in what you're doing. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what people think. What matters is what God says. Can you believe to keep moving in what he told you? Can you believe that? There's times we get reports from people. God tells us one thing and the report says something else. Will you believe the report, or will you believe what God says? Normally the reports make more sense because they can line out what it looks like. What God says is a spiritual stand. You don't see nothing. You're only standing on what he says. There's nothing that says this makes sense. There's nothing that says you're going to make a way. But we know our God can make ways out of no way. Why? Because he tells us there is nothing too hard for me. There is nothing too hard for me. Meaning he is that miracle working God. He can do what nobody else can do. That's him. So when he's telling you to go do something, you just do it. You just do it. You don't question it. And that's really best not to question it or analyze it, because when you analyze it, that's a short way to make you stop doing it, because you've seen too much. There's too much there. You know too much. You know, the more you know, sometimes it can end up hurting you because you know so much about it. I know this one person, you know, that she studied food. She went to school for food, and she knows everything about it. So she won't ever eat leftovers, like ever, because she studied it and she analyzes. She sees how bacteria grows. She knows if it's not at a certain temperature, you know, you can get sick from it. She knows too much about it that it just messed with her mind about, you know, I need it fresh. I prefer to grow it, prepare it for myself, because I don't know what they're doing on the other side. Did they leave it on the countertop too long if I go to get this? I don't know. It messed with her mind because, and she knows facts about it. They're facts. They're not just things that she's pretending. These are real facts. We don't know the facts, so we do a lot. That's why with kids, you know, he says, you know, sometimes have a heart like a child, because they just trust. They don't know just not to just jump up down them steps or get up, climb up on the countertop or do this, or things that you know could truly hurt them. They just do it. They just trust that they're okay. They trust to believe you're going to feed them every day. They trust to believe it's okay. As we get older, we know more, we see more, fear starts clicking in. You know, you're not as zealous as you was when you were young. There's a whole lot that you would do when you were young that you still could do now, but you won't do because you analyze it. And it's like, you know what? I don't even want to do that. That's not something that I want to do, because you thought too much into it, so you don't do it. And when you're serving God, you can't think about it. You just got to know who he is and trust him. With God, it just becomes a trust thing. Believe in him. Just what he says, period. If you add anything to it, it's going to be a problem, because you'll never be able to figure him out, and you'll stop what he's doing. So here, you know, I wanted to take it back to Moses, because first it was given to Moses, and this is what he done with it. And then if you go to Joshua, we're going to go to Joshua 1. Joshua 1. And I'm just kind of skimming through it. But starting at 1, it says, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over to this Jordan, you and all these people, to the land which I am given to them, the children of Israel. Every place that thy sole of your foot will trend upon, I have given you, as I said to Moses. Now, again, remember, Moses didn't make it in, you know, because, you know, the people acting up and so forth, and him not doing exactly what he's supposed to do at the end. But now Moses is dead. So now he's coming to Joshua, which was Moses' servant, assistant. And he's telling him the exact same thing. because God's plan is always his plan. He doesn't switch it up for the people. It's his master plan. It's going to happen. Either you're part of it, you're not a part of it, but his plan is going to take place. With or without you, it's going to happen. With or without you, it'd be nice if you'd be a part of it, be the person that's being blessed. But if you're not, somebody else will. But his plan will not change. His word can't change. Everything that's in here has to happen. Everything, from the very beginning to the very end. That's why we know exactly what's happening in the end. If you're here long enough, you know what's going to be like. If you really know the Lord, you probably don't want to be here in the end. Your thing would be, just rapture me up. Get me out of the way. I don't want to be here. You wouldn't be praying for the Lord to just keep you at the very, very end if you know the word. You wouldn't want that, because it's going to be a whole lot of craziness going on. But we already know. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to wonder. You know what's happening in the world. You know. You can put blindfolders on, but you know what's happening in the world, and it's a whole different world. And there's craziness that's taking place, nonsense that's taking place. But it shouldn't surprise you. You shouldn't be boo-hooing about it. It is what it is. You can pray about it, do whatever you want, and it's still happening. Whatever you do is still going to happen. Only thing you really can do is make sure you're lined up with the Lord, so that whenever he takes you, whenever rapture comes, you're going with him. That's the only thing you can do, is to make sure you're right with God, and it's going to happen just like that whenever it does happen. So don't miss it. Don't serve God all your life, been faithful to him all your life, and then do something stupid in a moment in time, and that's when he comes, and you miss him, because you don't know when he's coming. Nobody knows, but he is coming one day. That's a fact. He's coming, and everything that he said will be fulfilled before he does come. So they're the only things we can do. Anyways, with Joshua, he's telling him the same thing. So we're going to just kind of skim through this story, kind of follow with me again, read Joshua all yourself. And if we go over to 5, it says, "No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage." For these people, he's telling them, one of the things he says throughout the whole time is be strong and, have courage. Be strong and have courage. He's telling him this all throughout the book, and it says, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, and that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. Day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wheresoever you go." He keeps telling it. He's giving him courage. You're going in to take this land. The thing about it is that he's telling him, go, this is what I'm giving you. But now he's saying you got to be brave. Don't be afraid. And a lot of times when God gives us something, we're so excited about it. But he's telling him, this is what I'm giving you. But then he's saying, be brave. Have courage. Don't be afraid. It's like, okay, why all this? Why are you telling me all this? Something is going to take place for me to have to go take what you're giving me, because you're telling me to be brave. You're telling me to have courage, and you keep telling me this. So even though you're giving me something, there's something I got to do. And it may be hard, because you keep constantly, encouraging me not to be afraid and to have courage and to be strong. God can give you something, but obviously there's something you got to do with it. Because like I said, there's demons and there are demonic spirits that's going to try to stop you from getting to what God has already given you. But you have to go take it. You're not just going to walk in and just, this is mine, thank you. Everyone will try to do what they can to stop you from getting what he's given you. But it's yours. And he's saying, don't be afraid, don't worry about it, go get it. Just go get it. He keeps telling him this, so we know it's not going to be easy, but it's still his. And it's the same thing that he told Moses, the same thing. Just go let them see what it's like. Send those spies out and see what it's like. They saw it was wonderful. Grapes were so big, they needed 2 people to carry grapes. Can you imagine grapes that you need 2 people to carry grapes? Huge grapes. It was a promised land. Remember, it was God. This is what he had for them, prepared for them. They just had to go in and take it. It was so overwhelming, so big, so amazing. But the giants were there to stop them. There's going to be giants in your life that's going to try to stop you from getting what God has for you. There's always going to be that one person, that one thing that's going to stop you from moving into what God has for you. Whether or not you defeat it, it's on you, because really you're not defeating it. God is. Do you trust to believe he's fighting your battle? Whenever you think you're fighting it, you already put God out of the picture. Whenever you think they're too big for you, they're too strong for you, they're too mighty for you, they're too powerful for you, you've already removed God out of the picture. You put it back in your hands, and at that moment, you won't get it, because you can never accomplish it in yourself. He's given him courage. Go get it, go get it, go get it. Be strong and don't be afraid. And this is what he's telling them when we go over to, and he's with them, and that's why I wanted you to see the story. He does miracles for him throughout his whole journey. It was never him. It was never, ever him that was doing it. It was always God. And even with Moses, you would have thought he would have known, it was God, when he parted the sea. That in itself, to me, would be mind-blowing. Just like how could you ever doubt him after that? How could you ever doubt him after that? And he goes through, but you got all these people that's following you. You trying to get through, trying to bring people with you. They acting up, they complaining, you mad with them, they acting up, you don't get in, they don't get in. Nobody gets in. That's why it's like, you know what? You share the word, and whatever, you want to encourage somebody, tell them the way, they make it or not, but in the end it's on you. You're not going to stop me from getting there. I'm not standing here arguing with you about the word of God. This is what it is. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to love you in the midst of it. I'm not going to get frustrated with you. I'm be there if you need me, but I ain't playing with you. I'm not playing with you. You are not stopping me from getting to where I'm going. And that's even getting to the mansion that he's prepared for you. People can get in your face. They can push your button. They can do stuff that make you so mad you done flipped out, cussed them out, smacked them, done something stupid. They ain't getting in heaven, and you ain't getting in heaven either because of them. Because you've allowed them to frustrate you when it should never been about them. You can only be who God has called you to be. But you can't let people control you. Moses let people control him. And he got mad. And that's a lot of people to be following, and they're complaining and complaining, complaining. It's like, wow. He should have said, you know what? Moses, God, tell me what you want me to do. Whether or not y'all come. I'm going. This is what he says. Either move or don't move. I'm moving. Do what you want to do. I'm going. Now, this is the plan. This is the blueprint. This is what he says. Follow it or not, I'm going. But you're not making me mad. And he got to him. And people can get you angry when it's constantly nonsense, especially nonsense. Not if they're having issues or problems, but when they're doing stupid stuff. Just dumb stuff. And they know they're doing dumb stuff. And then you fall into it. You can't do it. Because it can stop you from getting to where God is taking you. That's why he constantly says, keep your eyes on me. Keep your eyes on me. And we go down to chapter 2, it says, now Joshua the son of Nun sent out two men to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, especially Jericho. So they went and came to the house of the harlot named Rahab and lodged there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, behold, men have come here tonight from the children of Israel to search out our country. So the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who have entered the house, for they have come to search all of our country. Then the woman took up the two men and hid them. So she said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And it happened as the gates were being shut, when it was dark, that the men went out. Where the men went, I do not know. Pursue after them quickly. So they hear, the king hears that these men are there. And remember, just like he told Moses, he tells Joshua the same thing. Go spy out what I'm giving you. Same thing. It's the same God. God doesn't change. Same thing, go spy. But this, he only sends two. Moses sent 12. He sent two to go see what it was about. When they go in there, and he says, especially Jericho, because Jericho was that large city that no one had came in and out, that will be the one. It's like, wow, if I can conquer this one, I definitely have to conquer that. And that's the first one that they end up coming to. But when he gets there to go to look at everything, he runs into a prostitute. But it wasn't just him seeing the prostitute. God had her there to protect them. Because God already has a plan. We just got to step. God already got the way made out. He has who in place for you, when you need them, what you need, at what time. You just got to walk towards it. You don't need to see nothing before. He did not have to hear about that prostitute 15 days ago. He didn't have to know there was, the house there on it. He didn't need to know any of that. All he needed to do was go in. Again, go take it. When he gets there, that's who's there, a prostitute. Goes to show you don't know who God's going to have to help you. You don't know who. We looking at, the ones that are so holy. I want them. I want to be with them if something goes down. They may not even be holy just because they look holy. They send them in church every Sunday, and you don't know what they doing, when they behind your door. You don't know where they at, but because they look like you want to be with them, and they not even the prayer warrior. They're not even the ones that's doing right. Don't get confused with God. God can do what he wants to do. But who he sends to help them is a prostitute. He sends the prostitute, that's who they go to, and she hides them. And she knows and believes he is who they said they were. She said, I know your God is real. I know, and when we heard about your God, we were all petrified. Our hearts sunk. We were afraid. This is what she tells them. And she says, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to hide you. And she hides them because she's telling the king that they left, but they didn't. They were still there. She hid them up on the rooftop till they left, and then she let them go and get away. And she says, I'm going to protect you. But by me protecting you, will you protect us when you come in to destroy Jericho? Because she knew. Now, she's a prostitute maybe, but yet she believed everything that they said. She believed they are coming back. They are going to destroy us, and I know it. Now, the king's trying to get rid of them and this and that. And other people may not believe, but she believed every word that they said. She said, we heard about you. We know, we've heard of the miracles that y'all have done. The miracles was enough to allow her to believe what was said. The word should be enough to allow us to believe just what he said. We might didn't see the sea part. We may didn't see Daniel in the lion's den. We may didn't see that with our eyes. But the word should be enough that we just know my God can do it because of what I've heard of. She believed who they were from what she heard of. She said, I heard. We all heard what you're about. And I'm going to protect you. And if I protect you, will you protect me and mine when you come to destroy? And they tell her, we'll protect you if you don't tell anybody our secret. If you don't let anybody know what's going on. And if you and your family's in this house. If you're outside of the house, you're on your own. We're only going to protect you if you're inside of the house. That's almost like when, the blood was covered. If you're inside, you're covered. You're outside, you're not. You're covered by God, you're good, you're not, you're on your own. And they all were inside the house when they came back. And they did. They destroyed, everything. She was protected. She was protected, her and her family. He said, anybody do you have in here, bring all your family in there. It can be your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, whoever can fit up in the house. Don't matter. They didn't say how many or who. Said, but they have to be in the house. They have to be inside of the house. And she had them inside of the house, and they were protected, everybody that was inside of the house. But you need to hear those stories and know those stories because you never know who God will put in your life to help you to get to another level. Don't downplay people. That's why you shouldn't look down on anybody. First of all, he says, you don't know who you may be entertaining because you could be entertaining angels. When you're walking by people and you see people on the street and you think, oh, just step over them. What if it was an angel? Just to see where you were. Just to see, would you give them that loose change that's in your pocket? Or are you so judgmental, get up and get a job. You can work just like I can work. But you don't know why they on the street. Maybe they lost their job because the company shut down. Maybe there was death in the family and something went wrong. You don't know what can get a person to where they are. Everybody that's on the street ain't there because they messed up or doing drugs or they just want to be there. And I can assure you, none of them want to be there. None of them want to be there. Why they made that path of getting there, they know and God knows. But you know, we've all made paths in our life that wasn't perfect or pleasing to God. And it's only the grace of God that we are where we are, because any of us could be just one step away from being on the street, because anything can go wrong very, very quickly. Just because you're up to date don't mean you're going to be up tomorrow. Things go wrong, companies shut down, sickness comes on, death takes place. Things happen in your life that you never expected. You know, if someone, you know, would lose their whole family, if someone was in a car and they lost all their kids and their wife and everybody, how is that person the next day? Do they just get up and go to work? They done lost their wife and all their kids and everybody in a car accident. How are they for a moment? For a moment, they could have lost their mind. So now they don't have a job or anything else, so now they're on the street. Wasn't that they weren't a good person, wasn't that they weren't a hard worker, wasn't they weren't a great husband or anything else. Life turned and hit them with a blow, and it made them stand still for a moment. We never know why people are where they are. We're so judgmental. As being children of God, how can we judge where somebody else is at? How can we point a finger when we don't know why they got to where they are? When we're supposed to be servants of God. Yes, that's how the world is, but he says we're supposed to be different. How can you turn your back on someone if you can help them? It ain't for you to figure it out. Either you can help them or you can't. We can't always, but you know what you can and cannot do. And God knows what you can and cannot do too. But just keep in mind, some people that you're stepping over and you're walking by, they could be an angel just to see where you are. Sometimes you're tested in your journey. I got this for you right then and here, but let me see, are you worthy of it? Let me see, if I throw this your way, what would you do? Are you truly my servant, or is it all about you? Remember, Abraham was tested with his son before he got all of his riches. He wanted to see whether or not he would take his son's life. He was tested, passed the test, then he came. Are we walking over some of our tests? Are we missing some of our tests because we are holier than thou and we can't look beneath because they're beneath us? We can't walk with them because we're better than them. We can't do for them because, I don't think so. I can invite you to my house, but I can't invite you because I'm here and you're there. You know, I can go out to eat with you, but I can't go out to eat with you because I am here and you're there, and that just don't look good on me. You don't look good up in my crowd. You know, think about it. You know, think about who we are. Because if you think about it or not, you know who you are. But God knows who you are too. But we're going through journeys and we're going through things in life. So here, he used a prostitute to help, you know, her on this journey. And then if we go to, like I said, just kind of skimming through it, if we go to Joshua chapter 5. Joshua chapter 5, verse 13. And we actually spoke on this on the line, on Bible study line. Actually, Pastor Tucker had mentioned this. But anyways, it says, and it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man stood opposite of him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, are you for us or for our adversary? So he said, no, but a commander of the army of the Lord. I have now come. So they're in. They have came back, you know, Rahab the prostitute hid them. They went out, they got away, but now they're coming back, and they're coming to destroy Jericho. Because God said it's yours. Remember, the promised land was there. All that land was there, but they had to go and get it. So now they're there, and they're close to Jericho, and they look up, and they see this man standing here. And so, you know, Joshua's saying, who are you? Basically, are you for us or are you for them? He said, I'm not for any of you. I'm here as a commander of the Lord. I'm for you or them. You know, God sends people. He just wants what's right. That's all it is. For the plan, his plan to take forth. And he's there to tell them what they need to do for the walls to come down. Because no one had went in and no one had came out. It was big wall. There was no way you could get in or get out. But he tells them what to do. And he tells them they're just to march around. Just to march around. Nothing that you're doing is going to get what he's given you. He's already given it to you. It's whether or not you trust and believe to do the steps, how to get it. There's ways to do things. If you don't follow the plan, you're not going to get it. There's a plan on how you do stuff. This is yours, but now you have to do this to get it. You know, this is it. You can have a refrigerator that someone gives you, a brand new, beautiful refrigerator. But you put stuff in it and your food keeps going bad. And you're like, get rid of it. It's not even working. And they said, did you read the plan? You have to plug it up. Plug it up. And then it works. You know, there's things you have to do with what he's telling you. Real simple, real easy. But if you don't do it, you don't accomplish what he says. There's ways of getting things, but it's not you, it's him. That's what you have to keep in your mind. Whatever he's given you, he's gave it to you. It's yours. Just go get it. Don't put all the extra in there. He doesn't need your help to get it. He just needs you to do what he's telling you to do. So this person is standing there, and when he looks up, who are you for? Not for you, and I'm not for them. You know, I'm a commander of the Lord. And he's telling them basically how to get Jericho's wall down. They had to march around 6 times, really 7, but the 6th time they're marching around. And on the 7th time, he has the priest in front of them, still again, men of God, you know, in front of them, and he says, blow the horn, and then all the walls will fall down. It was all God. It was nothing that they had to do. There was nothing, but if they would have been like the first set with Moses, they would have walked up to it and said, the wall's too big, it's too high, we don't have a ladder, we can't blow it up, I don't climb like this, what if I fall? What if I get to the top, how am I getting back down? I can't go up this ladder, the wall's too big, I can't, there's gotta be another way, unless God gives us another way, this is not what we're gonna accomplish. You turn back, you don't do it, because you say there's no way you can do it, and God says, I never said you were doing it, I just said it was yours. At least go up to the wall, pray about it, okay, God, I'm ready to go over, tell me what to do, I'll do it, just tell me, if I gotta climb there, okay, I prefer not, I don't like heights, but I'll do it, I'll do whatever you want me to do, just tell me what to do. You just gotta be open to him. You got to say yes more. More yeses and, you know, less no's. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Just say yes. That's all he wants you to do. It's just do what he tells you. So when they go up to the wall, and like I said, he tells them to march around it. You know, they have to march around for the 6 days. On the 7th day, they blow the horn. The wall falls down. Completely down. And this was God. And again, you need to know that. Because it's God that's doing it. So after the wall's down and they go into it, and then Joshua says to them, he says, if anybody tries to rebuild this city up, once we take it down, if anybody tries to rebuild what God has knocked down and got rid of it, he says when they try to rebuild it, their first son will die when they lay the foundation, and their youngest son will die when they put up a gate. He puts a curse on that because God was destroying it. God wanted no parts of it. It's like, get rid of it, because there was a lot of nonsense going on. God will destroy stuff. He'll destroy cities. He did it in you know, Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, he's getting rid of again, Jericho. But he lets his people, you know, have parts of it. He'll take from the world and he'll give to his people, because he will give you what he wants you to have, but he's doing it. And he tells them, he says, you know, that's it. It's a curse on it if anybody tries to rebuild. And then when you look at when you look in the book of Kings, when you go back and look in that, you will see just what he said took place. When they, later on, as time went on, when they tried to rebuild Jericho, and this was years later, because remember, what God says, he says. He doesn't forget anything that he says. I don't care if it's 1,000 years later, if it's 400 years later, a year, whatever God says will happen. When they go and they try to rebuild Jericho years later, the person that tried to build it, his first son died when they tried to lay the foundation, and his youngest son died when they put up the gate, because that's what he said, whoever would rebuild it or even try to rebuild it, that's what's going to happen. There again, God's in control of everything. He never needs anyone or anything doing to help him. When they go in there and they're going in to fight, again, he had to fight, but it's not him fighting, it's God's fighting. God allowed major hailstones to come down. It said it killed so many people. They're in there fighting. You're really not fighting. God's fighting for you. You're just kind of there believing God has you. He allowed major hailstones to come down, and it said it killed so many people. So many people. God's fighting for him because they're going to have what God said. This is your land. You will have it. I don't care what's there. Giants, I don't care what's there. It's yours, and I'm going to give it to you. And then Joshua asked God. He said, can you allow the sun to stand still? Because we're not done destroying them. And we need to destroy them before nightfall hits. Can you keep the day to stand still, the sun to stand still, so nothing moves until we destroy all of them? And God listened to him and kept the sun still. Time didn't move so that all the people could be killed. That wasn't Joshua. You can't keep the sun to stand still. We can't say, okay, I'm not ready yet, so, sun don't come up yet because I will overslept and I need to be to work, so let it still stay dark for another 5 hours because I ain't ready yet. You can say it, but, God can do it. He did it for him. But do you know what I'm saying? Basically, it's God. You can't make the sun to stand still. You can't do that. But Joshua asked him, and he said that was the first time, the word says, he said that's the first time that God listened to man and done what he said. But the sun stood still, so all the enemies could be killed. Because if it would have went down, there would have been still some living. And he said, God, can you just, keep daylight a little bit longer? I need some more time for daylight so that I can get rid of all of them. And God did it. God fought for him every step of the way. But Joshua believed, and he went. And he went, remember, but he believed back when Moses said. When Joshua and Caleb, when he told Moses to send out the spies, Joshua and Caleb was saying, yes, it's grapes, it's this and that. There is giants, but we got this. Because we're not going in ourselves. We're going with the Lord. We got this. They were trying to kill Joshua and Caleb. You can take a strong stand for God, and people so scared, they get rid of you. Especially if you're dragging them along. They're like, get rid of them. They are talking nonsense. Go in with the giants, let's kill them, because they're saying too much. They were ready to get rid of them. People won't always believe what you believe. People won't make stands like you. That's why you look to God, and it's like, if you're going with me, fine. If I'm going by myself, fine, but I'm going, with or without you. Don't always feel like you need a group of people with you. Don't feel like everybody got to agree with what you're agreeing with. If you're agreeing with the word of God, if they believe you, they do. If they don't, they don't. Oh, well, it's on you. This is what the word says. It doesn't matter. It's going to be very few people that will believe you. You know it because he says that. Very few people are going to be holding on when it's all said and done. Very few people are holding on now. They're half holding on. They hold on when they want something, and as soon as they get it, then they let go. Very few people hold on the entire time. No matter what, the good, the bad, the in between, I'm still holding on. I'm still praising you. I'm still serving you. No matter what, it's me and you. Whatever you say, oh, I don't like this, but it don't matter. I'm still going with you. Don't make sense. It don't matter. I'm still going on. God does strange stuff, different stuff. Strange to us, it ain't strange to him. He's God, and he wants to show us his mighty work and his power and all that he's doing. He wants us to see that. If we half-step in any aspect of it, we will miss it. You have to do exactly what he's telling you to do. If you do anything other than that, you'll miss what he's given to you. Because with Moses, he missed out on the promised land. Because he tells him when they're complaining that they need water and they're thirsty and they don't have anything. And he tells him to get your rod, give everybody together and speak it. And say water that's going to come out here and this is what's going to take place. Moses says, here you go again complaining, you rebels, all the time. All you do is complain. And he takes his rod and he hits the rock twice. And God says, because you didn't honor me in front of them, you will not get to the promised land. God told him right then and there, you will not go there because you didn't honor me in front of them. God doesn't expect us to ever act ugly in front of anybody. We're supposed to be his servants, his witness for him. We got someplace we're going. Some of you, God has given dreams. He's given vision. You know some things he told you to do. You know it's been hard. And the more you tell people, it seems like the harder it gets, because I believe a lot of times when you tell people stuff, they start praying against you. Because it seems like once you share your vision, it then got harder than it was before. But it doesn't matter, because God is still taking you someplace. But I don't care how many people come against you, how many people talk about you. No matter what, you still continue to show love. You still pray for them. You still be a light for him. You keep moving, you keep moving, you keep moving, because he's taking you someplace. You have to stay just as he told you to stay. You keep going. You don't get angry. You don't get bitter. You don't stop. You don't look around. You're still going. You're still going. This is what he's told me. This is what he showed me. And I am still doing it. I'm going to wake up each morning and do what I can do. I'm going to wake up each morning and do what I can do. Wake up each morning and do what I can do. That's all you can do. You're taking steps. You're reading the word. You're praying to him. You're worshiping him. You're lifting him up. You're being kind to people. You're being forgiving. You're doing everything that he would be pleased about, because you know he is taking you someplace. And you don't have to worry about what you say. You don't have to worry about the walls. You don't have to worry about the giants. You don't have to worry about the haters. You don't have to worry about any of that, because God is doing it. He told them from the beginning, when he set them free, this is where I'm taking you. Just walk. Just do what I tell you. I've always got you. He had them always. At night he had fire for them when he was leading them. In the daytime he had clouds. Opened up the sea, brought water, brought quail, whatever they needed. Had manna from heaven. He did it all. He says, I got you. All you got to do is just go. And when they get that close to it, Joshua finally, when they get that close to it, it still wasn't just handed in their hand. They had battles they had to go to. There was people that they had to fight, but they were never fighting alone. God was always with them, because he says, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. That's what he told him. He never leave him. And he says, be brave. Keep going. Don't be afraid. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And to the very end, when he started dividing it up to the very end, and there still was so much more land that they had to accomplish, because each time they had to go in and take this city and take that city and take this city, because they were to divide all of that land up amongst all of them. Everybody should have got blessed. Everybody should have got something. But they had to go in and they had to take it. And at the very end, Joshua asked him, and he says, why are you just sitting around? There's still so much more land. Get up and go get it. Because there was so much they had to get. And he tells them to get up and go get it. Go get it. This is it, towards the end. He's getting older, but he's still as strong as he was. Still had the same wisdom. He still believed God. He done everything that he could do. And he's dividing it up. To the very, very, very end, when he says, now you guys, you basically are on your own. Do what you want to do. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. That's what we're going to do. This is what God's given us. This is where we're at. This is what we're going to do. We're going to praise God. We're going to serve him. He's going to be everything in our life. You guys can do what you want to do. You can either serve the gods here. You can go back and serve the ones you serve. Do what you want to do, basically. But we're going to serve the Lord. Knowing that basically what he's saying, you do what you want to do, but you're never really doing what you want to do, because if you're serving other gods, he's going to come against you. Because just like he gave it to you, he will come against you. And you will be miserable with it. And of course we know throughout the entire word, we say they serve God, they get things, they let go. They serve God, they get things, they let go. They serve God, they get things, they let go. Throughout, from the very beginning, all the way to the end. Nobody ever just holds on. No one is just so grateful and thankful for what God gave them that they just want to serve them. They get wealth, they get the job they want, they get things, and then it's like, I got this. I got everything I've ever wanted. I got the husband, the wife, the kids, the house, the white picket fence. I got everything I ever wanted. Bank account's good. Now, I'm just going to sail away in the sunset. I ain't got time. We ain't got time to be at church every Sunday. We ain't got time for this. when he expects you to bring your kids up in the Lord. He expects you. I blessed you. You've seen all I did. Now make sure your kids know about it too. Make sure so they can get rooted and grounded. Keep me number one. But if you don't, consequences are going to come. Consequences are going to come. It's very important to continue to keep him on the forefront, like he did with Abraham way back then. He said, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because I know you're going to bring your kids up and you're going to let them know about me. It's important. If you don't talk about God, he's just getting out of the picture. You know that now. Look around. He's not in the schools. When I was young, he was in the school. When I was young, they had prayer before school started. We started out with a prayer. Not now. You say a prayer now, if you're a teacher or anybody, you've lost your job. You cannot acknowledge the one who's created the heaven and the earth. You don't hear about him on the news. You don't hear about him, or anything. You never hear his name. Or they'll say God. But what God you talking about? That's kind of like, it's easier to say that. But do you hear the name of Jesus? Because that's where the power comes from. You better not say his name. You will be without a job. You better not bring it on. You won't be there. We're not going to use you. But yet he's the one that's doing everything. Whether or not you acknowledge him, whether or not you're afraid to say his name, in the end, everybody will be bowing down to him. When it's all said and done, it don't matter. If you just want to accomplish right now, you want to make it to your vision, your dream, get the things that he said was yours, that's great. Go get it. What's the message about today? Go get what he's given you. He wants you to have it. He wanted Joshua to have the promised land. But just because I'm giving it to you, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me in the midst of getting what I'm giving you. So I'll show you how to get it. I'll give you everything that I promised you. But don't forget about me. We want to rely on his blessings and his promises. But where's he at? Who do we share with it? We're afraid. We're scared. I can't mention his name. Oh, I don't feel comfortable talking about the Lord. But you feel comfortable talking nonsense. That's okay. Some of the things that come out of your mouth, you feel comfortable saying that. You ever hear people talking, you feel embarrassed? You embarrassed for them. They saying it and you feeling like you want to shrink because it's just so far-fetched, like, oh, I can't believe that came out of their mouth. You feel bad for them, especially if you know them. You feel like it's linked to you somehow. I can't believe you just said that. I can't believe you just did that. But you're afraid, scared to bring up Jesus. You can't say his name, the creator of everything, the one, the only one that can turn your world around. You're afraid to say his name because of what the world thinks. Well, you know what? The world is dying and going to hell. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. They're dying and they're going to hell. And if somebody don't step it up and start acknowledging them, you're going to be dying and going to hell with them. Because he says, the path is wide. It is wide, and there's a whole lot of people on it. Look around. Take a look. You got nothing to do today. Walk around. Just walk around the stores and listen to conversations. Watch what people are saying. Just look around. How many do you think God is their everything? They're everything, 100% sold out to God. How many people are 100% sold out to God? How many? Think about it. The world is dying and going to hell. And you worried about what they're saying. God wants to bless you. I know he's given a lot of you a lot of things. Go for it. Go for it. He's handing it to you. He'll fight your battles. He'll do anything that you need. If you can believe for it, he can do it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you need a healing in your body, if you need your debt paid off, whatever it is you need, my God can do it. Can you believe for it? Can you believe for it? It's up to your belief. If you can believe for it, he can do it. But when he increases your faith and you step out and you go forward and he gives you everything that he promised you, don't forget about God in the midst of it. And you forgot about him when you realize your day started and you didn't have a moment that you took out for God. When you realize you're at your job and you didn't read the word before you went to work. When you realize you didn't acknowledge him before you went to work. You realize you forgot about him. And when you went to bed that night and you woke up, oh, I didn't even read the word before I went to bed. I didn't talk to anybody about the Lord today. When that happens in your life, yes, you forgot about it. You can say he's your everything. You can say he's your all in all. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're lying to yourself. You are lying to yourself. If you don't acknowledge him first, how can you start your day when he's created that day without acknowledging him so you know what's going on in the day? How can you move without him when he's the one's directing it? How can you go to bed and go to sleep and didn't acknowledge him when you wouldn't even have made it in your bed without him? And you didn't thank him and you didn't take a moment out to just read what he's saying. How can you say he's your everything when you don't include him nowhere within your life? You're lying to yourself. And if you're lying to yourself, that may be a quick journey that's sliding you straight down the hill. Be real cautious. The adversary's tricky. He'll let you think you're a good person. It ain't a good person to get you in heaven. Is God your everything? Did you accept him into your life? Is he lead, guide, and directing it? Do you ask the Holy Ghost Spirit to lead, guide, and direct? He knows every place you need to go. You wouldn't even be in some of your issues that you have. You wouldn't even be dealing with some of the nonsense if you just took the time out to acknowledge him first. And then thank him. Don't ever let him give you something that you asked for, that you prayed about, and you didn't take time out to say thank you for that. Thank you for my healing. Thank you for the job. Thank you for this person. If you can take time out to ask him for something, you can take time out to thank him. So anyways, you know, if you want what God has for you, go get it. But first, you have to accept him into your life. You have to believe he is God and he's God all by himself. You have to believe he hung on that cross. You have to believe when 3 days later, you know, when he died, he rose again. And you have to say, Lord, you know, forgive me for anything I may have said, thought, or done that was not of you. I am sorry. Please, Holy Ghost Spirit, take control of my life. I am sold out to you. I give it all to you. Have your way. And just watch what he does. Praise God.